we looked at the idea of you having like two values or two quantities, if you like, and they're important to consider because they're related in what we call a linear fashion, right? Hence, linear relationships, okay? So what that would mean is, if one increased or decreased, the other one would increase or decrease in the same proportion. Actually, that's a really important idea. That things happen in the same proportion. That's kind of what linear means, really. We also spent some time, or you also spent some time, thinking about what that would look like if you plotted it. So, easy example, one you guys have looked at before. Money earned. Money earned. So this might be what you put on your first set of axes there. Okay, it doesn't need to be huge because it's a pretty simple graph. Money earned. If we take that value, that quantity, and we compare it against hours worked, that'd be a pretty common sense thing to compare it against, or to graph it against, right? So you work twice as long, you earn twice as much, right? So for example, if you have your hours down here, and I don't know, what's a pretty decent hourly rate these days? $8 an hour for doing what? For doing Macca's? 10? Okay, let's do it in tens. That's nice and round. Okay. So if you had 10 here, 20 here, 14. What are you doing for $14 an hour? Oh, I see. Okay, well that's like skills and stuff, okay, isn't it? So if we plotted some points along here, okay, for instance, if we said $10 an hour, right? You get a point here. If you work twice as long as we said, you get twice as much money, 3 times as long. I should better look at this properly. You get the idea, okay? Now the important thing to get with a linear relationship, right, is that if we join all these up together, despite the fact that I've only put in whole numbers on there, use your imagination, all those values in between still exist, right? If you worked 2.5 hours, okay, so that'd be here, wouldn't it? It'd track up to here. And sure enough, you'd earn $25, yeah? And you could take any awkward spot in between there that you'd liked, anywhere along this line. That's what you would do, okay? And then you went further, you thought about gradient and what that means. In this case, by the way, suppose I did put another line on here with a steeper gradient. Something like, this. Okay. If the gradient was steeper, what would that correspond to in terms of real world language? Like, what could you say about this green person versus this blue person? Yep.
The green person earns more money per hour.
Yeah, good. And I think that's what you just said, right, G? That our steeper gradient, that's okay. Steeper gradient corresponds to a faster rate of earning money, right? But it's still the same proportion. These are both linear, okay? Great.